Ah, look at them. Scared. Shaking in their boots. Why? Because they've seen something they don't understand. You, a force they can't predict, a storm they can't tame. They call you a monster. But let me tell you something they forgot: monsters don't fear. Fear is for those who still hope to be saved. Monsters were already free. So why should you care about their rules, their whispers, their trembling little judgments? Watch closely. I'm about to show you why the world fears you, and why you should never fear the world. Fearlessness is not a learned trait, it's an inherent state of being for those who have embraced their true nature. Monsters, as they are so often called, don't tremble in the face of uncertainty or danger, because fear is a tool they've rendered useless. Fear is the weapon of the weak, the leash used to control, but monsters, they snap that leash without a second thought. The idea of being fearless is not about the absence of danger, but the rejection of the illusion that danger can control you. When you step into your power and stop seeking shelter from the storm, you realize that you are the storm. The world teaches people to fear failure, rejection, and even their own potential. It keeps them small, manageable, compliant. But monsters rise above that conditioning. They don't fear failure because they understand that failure is nothing but a stepping stone to greatness. They don't fear rejection because they are not here to be liked or accepted by anyone who cannot match their intensity and their own potential. That's where their fearlessness thrives. The moment you accept that you were not born to fit in but to stand out, you shed the fears that hold the masses captive. Fearlessness doesn't mean recklessness. It's a calculated defiance, a refusal to bow to the things that chain others. Fear thrives on doubt and hesitation, but monsters don't hesitate. They act knowing the world may recoil, but that's precisely the point. When you operate without fear, you disrupt the system that depends on it. Fearlessness isn't about proving something to others, it's about proving to yourself that you don't need anyone's approval to take up space, to be unapologetically you, to own your destiny without compromise. Society is quick to label anything it doesn't understand, anything that challenges its fragile norms, as dangerous or wrong. It creates rules and definitions to confine people, to box them into identities that are easier to digest. The moment someone steps outside of those boundaries, they are labeled a monster, but that label says more about society than it does about the individual. Society fears what it cannot control, and the misunderstood are often the ones who refuse to conform. They are the ones who question, challenge, and defy the rules. Being labeled a monster is not a reflection of flaws, it's a testament to strength. It means you've dared to live on your terms, unshackled by the expectations of others. The world often mistakes independence for arrogance, passion for aggression, and confidence for menace. But the truth is, the ones they call monsters are those who refuse to shrink, who refuse to bend. Society is uncomfortable with such people because they reveal the limitations of those who are too scared to step out of line. The judgment of society is rooted in its own insecurities. It thrives on conformity, needing everyone to think, act, and live within a narrow framework. When someone refuses to be molded, when someone rises above the mediocrity of compliance, they are seen as a threat. But that judgment isn't about you, it's about them. It's about their inability to grasp a reality where someone can live without their validation. When society calls you a monster, it's admitting that you've broken free from its control. You've become something it can't define, something that exists beyond its grasp. And while it will try to vilify you, deep down it knows you're everything it wishes it could be. Owning the title of monster is not about accepting defeat or ridicule, it's about reclaiming power. When the world calls you a monster, it's trying to shame you into submission, to make you doubt yourself and question your choices. But there's no shame in standing tall, in being unrelenting, in refusing to conform. In fact, being called a monster is often proof that you're doing something right. It means you've struck a nerve, challenged the status quo, and refused to blend into the background. The world doesn't call people monsters for staying silent or invisible. It reserves that name for those who dare to roar. When you own the title, you strip it of its power to wound you. The judgments of others no longer weigh you down because you've transformed what was meant to be an insult into a source of strength. Monsters don't apologize for their existence, for their ambition, or for their refusal to stay small. They embrace every part of themselves, the light and the dark, because they know that true power comes from authenticity. Pretending to be something you're not just to fit in is a prison, and owning who you are is the only way to break free. The label of monster is society's way of trying to control those it cannot understand. When you accept it and wear it as a badge of honor, you take away its sting. You show the world that you're not afraid to be different, to be bold, to be everything it fears. To own the title is to say, yes, I am everything you said I am and more. It's not defiance for the sake of rebellion, it's a declaration of independence. It's the ultimate freedom, living on your own terms, without apology, without compromise. Strength from solitude is something society rarely understands, let alone values. The world teaches people to surround themselves with others, to seek constant validation, and to measure their worth by the number of people who applaud them. But monsters don't need the crowd. Their power doesn't come from being accepted, it comes from being whole on their own. Solitude isn't a weakness, it's a forge. It's where resilience is crafted, where strength is honed, and where clarity is found. When you embrace solitude, you stop needing the noise of the world to fill your silence. You stop craving approval from people who don't even understand you. Solitude strips away the distractions, the fake smiles, the hollow conversations, and forces you to confront yourself. It's not always easy, in fact, it's often uncomfortable. But in that discomfort lies growth. You learn to face your fears, to challenge your doubts, and to build an inner foundation so strong that nothing external can shake it. The world often mistakes solitude for loneliness, but they couldn't be more different. Loneliness is a longing for connection, a feeling of emptiness. Solitude, on the other hand, is a choice, a deliberate decision to step away from the noise and chaos to focus on what truly matters. It's in solitude that monsters find their strength. Because they are not afraid to stand alone. They don't rely on others to complete them, they are already whole. While others depend on the opinions of the crowd to define who they are, monsters draw their identity from within. Their strength is self-made, their confidence unshakable, and their power undeniable. They don't need anyone to tell them their worth because they've already claimed it for themselves. Solitude is their sanctuary, their fortress, their greatest ally. Facing the world as a monster means embracing a reality where you will always stand out, where you will always be met with resistance, and where your very existence challenges the comfort of others. But that is exactly where your power lies. You don't fit their mold, and you never will. The world wants you to be predictable, manageable, and easy to control. Yet the moment you decide to face the world unapologetically, you break every expectation they've placed on you. The act of facing the world isn't about proving them wrong or seeking revenge. It's about proving to yourself that you are enough, exactly as you are. Monsters don't hide from the world's judgment, they meet it head on. They don't waste energy trying to convince others to understand them, because they've already understood themselves. Facing the world is not an act of defiance, but a declaration of self-mastery. It says, here I am, unashamed, unafraid, and unwilling to compromise. When you face the world, you challenge its conventions, its definitions, and its limitations. You become a mirror that reflects its insecurities and fears. And while it may recoil, it also cannot look away. The monsters don't cower in the face of criticism or rejection. They understand that the world will try to resist what it doesn't understand, but they also know that resistance is proof of their power. Standing tall in the face of opposition is how monsters thrive. They understand that the world's approval is fleeting, its rules arbitrary, and its opinions fickle. Facing the world isn't about conforming, it's about carving your own path, one that no one else has dared to walk. It's about holding your ground and refusing to shrink, no matter how hard the world tries to make you small. So let them call you what they will. A beast, a menace, a nightmare. Smile because they only fear what they can't destroy. And you've already won. Now go. Don't just exist, dominate. Don't just live in their world, own it. Let them tremble, let them gossip, let them cower. Because you're the monster they can't control. And monsters never fear.